Hello guys, in this video we are going to build a gaming PC from a server. This one is a pretty compact server, a really nice case. It's a Fujitsu Primergy TX100S1. I bought this for about $90. Let me show you its specs. Hopefully my camera will focus on this, although there is a bit of light behind it. It has an SATA 2 GB hard drive, 4 gigs of RAM, 4 slots of memory, and a quad-core Xeon X3220 at 2.4 GHz. This I think it's about equal to a Q6600 quad-core. Why I'm doing this? Because server components are way cheaper than standard PC components. You can get, for example, registered ECC memory for half the price of standard memory, because companies don't usually buy second-hand stuff. So there is no real market for second-hand stuff for servers. So when somebody sells something like this, there are not a lot of buyers. So why don't we buy it? Well, there are some advantages and disadvantages. For example, this doesn't have an integrated sound card. So you either use a USB one or a PCI Express card. I have USB cards, sound cards, so no problem there. Another thing, you might be missing some settings in the BIOS that appear on standard computers, but you might have a ton of new settings in the BIOS that you probably don't have any idea what they are for and will never use. So yeah, another thing, you can use SCSI hard drives. They are way cheaper than standard ones. Because of the same problem, people don't really buy them second-hand. In a server, you can buy them. Just an important thing, when you buy a server to use as a gaming PC, make sure it has PCI Express ports. If it doesn't have PCI Express, you won't be able to use a graphics card with it. So that is not really good. This one has 8x PCI Express. You might say only 8x. I'm going to show you some tests that someone made. The penalty in performance from 16x to 8x in this generation of components is really small, so no problem there. And yeah, I'm going to give it a quick power on test to see if it works, and probably upgrade it with some components from another server that I bought, that in the end it had 8 gigs of RAM, a little bit more than this one, but a dead motherboard. So if you buy one, make sure it is listed as working. The other one, it was something like gives signs of life. Yeah, not really good. But the sum of the components from the other one actually make the price that I paid, so if I reuse those components, I'm all okay. So let's give this a quick test. Problem number one. A little bit of plastic is broken in the button, so this was dangling around, so I could not start the computer. It would power on when you gave it power for about 1 second, a quick test, but then it would shut down, and I couldn't press this, so I had to take it apart a little bit. So now let's plug in the USB keyboard. Of course, I'm going to stop the video for a moment to clean this, because if I don't, it will blow everything in. Not perfect, but a little bit better, good enough for first test. And yeah, let me give it power. Okay, and let's do this. Hopefully we get some kind of image. It would help to power on the monitor. And we have image. So clearly this thing is working. Of course I have no clue how to work with this BIOS, but I'm going to tinker with it a little bit and come back. 4 gigs of RAM, the CPU, and of course most likely the hard drive is wiped, so yeah. Actually maybe you can't even see anything. I'm going to check on the video to see if you are able to see this screen. Quite silent. Because of the huge fans, they don't have to turn really fast. So be back in a moment. The hard drive cage turns like this. So this is pretty nice. For hard drives, although I don't have the sides for one of them, the memory you can see right there. 2 sticks of 2 gigs, huge fan, another one in the front, and the PCI slots, PCI Express, 3 of them, 8X, and that one probably 2 or 4X, who knows. And here a right card. I also have a huge cable for SCSI drives, but most likely I will leave that out for the moment, because these are SATA. This is actually, or no, there are SATA, because the optical drive is SATA also. So at this point I'm going to try and test the 8 gig stick from my other server. Hopefully this will recognize that, and then we have 12 gigs, and that is pretty awesome. And if that is okay, then I will upgrade also the CPU with the one from the other server. So let's do it. No luck with the memory from the other server. This one doesn't support sticks of 8 gigabytes, but weirdly neither does the other one. So I have no idea if that memory stick actually worked in that server, or if it was put there after it broke down. I don't know. So we still have 2 by 2 gigabytes. So 4 gigabytes. I straightened this heatsink a little bit, cleaned up the cables all around, put back the SCSI cable, repaired the button in the front, put the front plate back on. Still need to put a plate here, and this thing is extremely quiet. Actually, as you can see, this cooler is not even, or is it? Yes, weirdly it is spinning, but really slowly and not making any noise. So that is pretty awesome. We are in the BIOS now. I just have to save everything and reboot. And yeah, install Windows. Hopefully I can find all proper drivers. And yeah, that should be about it. And then plug in a video card. And of course, any video card can be plugged in, I have to cut a little bit with a Dremel from the end of this PCI Express slot, because the card has longer contacts than what is available here. Cards with contacts of only this length do exist. So you have PCI Express 8X cards, for example, you can buy them, but if I make this modification, any standard graphics card will work in here. So I'm going to modify it, of course, put a video card in, and yeah, this is awesome. And then I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with the other server, because I decided that I want to find a way to fix that one also, and I'm not going to replace the CPUs because or swap the CPUs because they are almost identical. It's not worth it. So yeah, check out my other video also. These two will be quite linked. So let's continue. And the video card is in. Let me try and zoom. Hopefully you can see the way it is overhanging on the slot. It sits with its lower part, which is non-conductive, on top of that oscillator. And actually what I did on that slot, you can already see on the smaller blue one, the end is actually open. So I just opened up the end in the black one with this Dremel. So yeah, now you can put there absolutely any card, no matter the length. And now I'm going to search a little bit for that article and print, so you can see the frame difference when you use a card in an 8x slot instead of a 16x. Board on the system, we are running on that card. Let me just give it a quick reboot. Actually you can see it is running normally. I've made some changes in the BIOS, so it actually posts way faster. So this is perfect now. And let me just show you the specs I was, or the graphics that I was talking about. You can clearly see on PCI Express 2.0 at least, when you are running 16x versus 8x at different resolutions, they are almost identical every time, and in this case 8x is even faster, weirdly. But clearly there is no problem to run an 16x card, at least HD 5870, not the newest ones. The newest ones clearly will benefit from a faster slot, but older cards like this one, nope. You can run them in 8x, even in 4x with a little bit of performance penalty. With X1, yeah, there you have issues. But 8x, for me, it's really well, and it really makes sense to buy a really cheap computer with good configuration, with its only downside that it doesn't have a sound card, and maybe it has PCI Express only 8x. No problem for me there. You can do the modification like I did here, or you can buy a card that actually has 8x connector. So yeah, and this is built like a brick. Please believe me, it's really strong. Okay, this is the second day. The PC is working absolutely beautifully, and it's really snappy. I added a Windows Vista license. I had a free one that I'm going to stick on the case. I know it's Vista, not ideal, but I like to have licensed Windows, and this is what I had free. What can I say? I filled the hole, although you probably cannot see anything. Let me try force this camera a little bit. Okay, you can see same type of color and plastic, so that is perfect. And I just have to add this type of sound card, and of course I will make it in a way that It will not be external anymore, but you will see that in a moment. And yeah, that's about it. This PC feels really, 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 really nice. Really snappy. No matter what you throw at it, it does it in a moment. So yeah, I really like it. And of course it can be upgraded. You can upgrade the graphics card. You can put, if you don't change the PSU, a graphics card with maximum of 75 watts. And if you have a PSU greater than 360 watts, for example, you can put any graphics card in there. Of course, it will not run at 100% speed, but you saw that the difference will be almost non-existent. So yeah, this is awesome. So yeah, let me clean the case a little bit and start putting in the sound card. My first plan was to put the card in this and connect it to a USB here in the back of the case, and then put the cable in somehow. But this is pretty thick and would actually look pretty bad. So I realized there is a free internal USB header, so this goes away. And I have some stuff laying around from computers that I've turned down over time. This was a front panel USB port. It's actually cut. This is an audio cable internal from CD-ROM to motherboard. We don't use this anymore. So I'm going to use one of these plugs. Of course, this only has 3 connections, so I will add a 4th connection from this other end, solder these wires here, plug in the USB sound card, and then these 2 jacks at the end of the card will be coming out from holes in this card. So it will look pretty standard in the end, or maybe even from there. I must investigate. We will see that. Made some progress. The wires are all soldered. Of course the colors do not match, so if you do this, be really careful what you solder together. Although this is not necessary. This is just in my particular situation. You will probably not need to do this. And I'm going to heat shrink everything together, and it will look pretty decent. Of course, this will be plugged in here, and the outputs right in the back of the case. But now I need to solder 2 capacitors here. Don't know if you really can see the place where they are missing. Everybody says that this has really decent sound for the crap quality that you can see here. It's still decent, but because those caps are missing and actually there is a bridge right between the contacts, about 2 volts direct current go through your headphones. If you are not using headphones, you are using an amplifier or something, that will filter that voltage, but your headphones cannot filter it, so you will probably end up blowing them. So I'm going to remove the bridge. You cannot really see it, sadly, and solder to, I don't know, from 10 to 100 microfarads people were talking about on the forum. So I will see some small caps, solder them there, and then plug it in and see how it works. The capacitors are soldered in place. Put some solder here so this doesn't break. And yeah, now I need to clean this board a little bit because they left it in a really bad state, and test it. Hopefully it actually works, but we will see. Okay guys, this is the finished product. As you can see, it is pretty well stuck here. The cable starts from here, goes under the PSU, comes back here, and it's plugged into the sound card, which is very well glued in place, and the ports are in the back, and you can plug into them without any issues. I didn't use the lower port, although the markings would suggest that, because I would encounter some clearance problems on the motherboard, so I didn't want to have those issues. So yeah, that's about it. Let's clean this case, put the sticker license on, and give it a final quick test. And yeah, as you can see, there is room for a way bigger graphics card if needed. Height, length, everything, wide. So yeah, no issues there. Pretty happy with how this turned out in the end. Okay, I ended up upgrading the graphics card. I had one that had some issues. It was getting pretty bad corruption, and I fixed it with my heat gun. You can see that in another video on my channel. And of course you can see there the sound card with the red LED. When it's working, the LED is blinking, and this, I must say, is a way better than expected PC. It handles whatever you throw at it without any issues. So yeah, cool project. Ended up working really good in the end. 180p is absolutely no issue for it. I had other older computers that had big issues with 180p. Not with this one. You can do whatever you want, it still plays it. The CPU isn't even really loaded. So yeah, a quick clean and that should be about it. This is the end of the project. It is cleaned, working perfectly, and yeah, most likely I'm going to put an even more powerful graphics card in this PC in the end, but for the moment this will do. And like I said before, it's running perfectly. And one advantage with server grade components, they are way stronger and way less likely to break in time. So yeah, this has been it for this video. Thanks for watching. Ask whatever you need in the comments, like, subscribe, and see you again in the next one. Bye.